Greetings and welcome everyone to the first episode of a brand new co-op series where I shall be playing Thea the Awakening and the most recent free DLC, Multiprayer. Now that is a bit of a play on words of multiplayer, but given the very kind of mythical, folklore-y theme to Thea the Awakening, I think a multiplayer is more than appropriate. Now, this is going to be a very brief introduction tapped on to the beginning of the series. The series will be streamed, and my co-host will be LadyShelab. There will be links to my Twitch channel and, of course, to LadyShelab's YouTube channel down below, where she will be uploading her perspective of the game. There are fair differences between our perspectives. Now, there are a couple of caveats that I will go over, but first and foremost, what is Thea? Well, Thea, if you imagine a game like Civilization 5, or perhaps you've played a game such as Disciples, where you have a large overarching view of the world and you're moving around on a strategic map, turn-based kind of game of strategy. But unlike games like Civilization, which take a very macro scale, a very big picture look at the world and the empire, many cities where each population represents tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of people. Each spearman unit is not one spearman, but an entire regiment of spearmen. Also, they tend to be nameless and faceless and generally interchangeable with every other spearman in the game. Thea is very different. You have one village, that is it, with 10 or so people living in it. Each one of these people has a very diverse set of skills based on their class and their race. There are many different races, many different fancy creatures which can live in your village. Each one has a name, each one levels up and has their own equipment which you can dictate, or at least so far as the equipment. Level ups are a little bit more random. But needless to say, you don't ever find yourself in a position where one spearman can just be mindlessly replaced by another spearman. If you lose one, oh well, it's no big deal. If you lose one of your characters in Thea, it is a big deal because you've probably nurtured that character for many, many levels. You've grown attached to them, and the fact that they've married other people in your village and they've had children, and yeah, you don't want them to die. Also, it's an enormous loss because you spend a lot of time leveling them up. That is the idea. It's kind of a mix of macro and micro scale strategy in a turn-based environment. Now, we will be playing a god or goddess, in this case the goddess Mokosh. The Mother Earth, life, birth and nature are your domain. You were once supreme goddess ruling alongside Perrin, but now everything has changed. The darkness devoured your beloved Thea and tarnished all life. You kept a handful of chosen worshippers alive in the bosom of your power, but they are weakened, lost and scared. You must do all you can to restore balance and to keep your people alive. Now, this game has a sort of meta progression, much alike to games such as Don't Starve, where when you play a game, you sort of accrue a score that translates into EXP that exists outside of the game. It doesn't have a direct influence on the game at the time that you're earning it, but afterwards it gets applied to whichever god you were using. As you level up the gods, you unlock other gods, and you also unlock various abilities that those gods have. For example, I fully leveled up Horos, the god of night. Mokosh I've only leveled up part of the way, and so we'll be using Mokosh because obviously I would like to continue leveling up her abilities, and as she goes, the start and the ease for her villagers increases. For example, in this case, our starting city is guaranteed to have extra food sources. Don't worry if that doesn't make any sense to you just yet. It will once we jump into the game. Now, for those who may be familiar with Thea, this is the difficulty setting that we're playing with. 115%, that is the adventurer level for the score multiplier, and here are all the settings. I won't go into any detail on these because unless you're familiar with Thea, they won't mean anything to you at all. But just as a general idea, it's 115%, so it's more or less the normal kind of difficulty curve for the game. For those who are interested in understanding a little bit more about the game prior to watching this series, I do have a first taste mini-series that I made, which is about 10 or so episodes long, where I don't play through an entire campaign, but I do go over all of the mechanics in a fair bit more depth and a bit more of a tutorial style on it. It's a little bit outdated in terms of versions, so some of the graphics are a little bit different, but overall the mechanics are all the same, and the strategy is explained in how the combat works, which is more of a card game than any kind of visceral, Twitch-based combat or anything like that. But that is going to be it for this introduction. Sorry for waffling on. I hope you enjoy the series, and if you are at all interested in seeing LadyShelab's perspective, again, there will be links in the bottom of the video description just so you can hop over there and see how the game is unfolding from her eyes. But that is it from me. Let's get on with the game.
And so it was said that if the pillars of the world shall fall, darkness will descend upon all that lives. From the Book of the Dark. Man did not heed this warning. The sacred cosmic tree burned to cinder. And so the darkness came, claiming all that was bright and living in Thea. When all hope was lost, after a century without light, the sun rose once more. Thea awakened from her dark slumber, and you along with her. But Thea is not the world that once was. The age of darkness weakens, but it is far from over. Life took its shy roots, yet death will not release its grip easily. While the sun keeps some of the evil in check during the fleeting days, at night, the creatures of darkness roam free and angry, unwilling to give up their dominion over the land. It is up to you to find a way to rebuild Thea, banish the darkness, and strengthen mankind.
Okay, looks like our two cities. Oh, wow. Your city's amazing. You've got three different food sources.
Oh, nice.
3 different food sources, and
Vegetable,
I've got grain and grain.
Herbs and grain. Well, we know what I'll be trading to you then.
I've got grain and grain. Seriously, game?
And string quite close too.
That is so annoying. I can't combine these in any meaningful way. Early on, I flat out can't combine them in any way until I research baked goods. That is,
you know what the first research point you get is going to go to.
Such a mean thing to have done.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We're never far apart, Sumi, and all of the tests that we've done of just generating maps and just trying to record the game, we have never had our villages further apart than this. It just seems that you always start close to each other.
And that's nice, because you can cooperate easier that way.
Yes, and there is a lot of co-op involved in this game. There is a lot of co-op. Right, we're going to get to renaming.
Okay. I don't know if the Tumnix is still here.
And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to actually have all of my people join Aavak, and then I can manage everything a little bit easier.
I think I'll do the same.
Right, okay. Agatka? Let's see.
Right.
Moogly Moo shall be Agatka. I'm going to be renaming people from Twitch chat. I believe LadyShelab has generated a name list from her...
I have, for my subscribers. Okay, I think I'm nearly there.
I'm just having a look over my characters at the moment. Now, for anyone who's watching this after the fact on YouTube, understand that one of the quirks with multiplayer means that it is going to be a little bit harder for us to talk in detail about what we're doing on either screen, especially in fights and that sort of thing, or in events. In events, it's going to be a little bit easier. There's a lot of dialogue in this game. Unfortunately, the way the game plays, in some ways it feels like it's just 2 single-player games that are kind of tethered together, and you're playing these single-player games in the same world. But there are certain ways that the game, properly integrates the idea of multiplayer. It's just not all of them. And one of the ones that I've already mentioned to the developers is a little bit jarring, is the way that when certain things happen on your co-op partner's screen, like if they're in a fight or if they're resolving an encounter or a random event, if you will, you can't see that. You can't see it at all. You'll get a little notification down at the bottom saying they've entered combat or they're resolving an event, but you don't know what that event is. And that has two side effects. One is the kind of Marmite level voice acting, because some people don't get on with the voice acting, but some people really love it because it's quirky and yet fitting in different ways. I happen to be among those who really get on with the voice acting. But as a result, because the other person won't know when there's any voice acting going on, they can easily be talking over the voice acting, which kind of ruins things. And so as a result...
There's nothing more annoying, is there, than like voice acting going on and in a game, especially when it's like an MMO and you're on TeamSpeak with people or something and they're like chatting to you and you're like, I need to listen to this.
Yeah, no, exactly. So as a result, we've turned off all voice acting and we'll read out options and encounters and we'll collaborate in picking the options that we go for, and we'll discuss them, and that way there'll be an extra layer of interaction between the players. What I would love to see is, specifically with decisions, like I don't know how the really big main story quest decisions are going to work. Is it just all going to be down to the person who encounters it? Are they the one who just decides? Because for those who aren't aware, there are some very specific points in the story where you can kind of go down one path or another, and it has vast effects, permanent consequences for choosing one or the other. That. Well, yeah, and if it is literally just the person who happened to be the one to trigger the event, that leaves the other person kind of mopping up the leftovers, even if they didn't want to pick that path. One of the MMOs you mentioned, actually, that is MMOs in general, but there are some MMOs that have that kind of quality where there'll be kind of a mini game or a voting system where if the players involved don't agree, then they kind of go at a battle of wits to work it out. Divinity Original Sin had a very simple system of rock, paper, scissors. You played rock, paper, scissors to work out whose choice would go. Yeah,
that was a really nice game.
That would be pretty cool, but we'll have to see because we haven't tested it that far to actually see how that works. Have you renamed all of your characters?
I have indeed renamed all of my characters.
Okay.
Would you like me to read out who they are, or?
Yep, by all means, that would be lovely.
Okay. So I have Elfwine, Photorus, Marrow, and Renard, who are all warriors.
Okay.
I have Kathy Osborne and Lolash, who are my gatherers.
Okay.
And I have Kristen and Minnie Manta, who are my crafters.
Excellent. I have got, for warriors, Buttercup, Dappling, Fitzomega, and Moogly Moo. I choose to believe Buttercup is obviously the princess from Princess Bride. We're going to need to find ourselves a Dread Pirate Roberts and a Physic, and it's going to be great. Vasic, rather. We have got, for gatherers, Aedale and Isda, and for crafters, Anbal and Garoon. Now, with that being said, as I mentioned, I'm kind of... I've really gotten the poor end of the stick here because my grain cannot work in the cooked meals that I've got, just regular cooked meals. I'm going to have to spend my first research point on crafting and getting baked goods. I literally have no choice. It is a must for me to have any kind of cooked food. Game, you've scuppered me from the onset. I did start with a little bit of meat though, which is nice. So I can set up some meat being made, but actually I'll spend the first turn gathering and things like that. How about you? What are you going to spend your first research on?
Well, I've just popped some people in to gather wood and herbs and vegetables and things. I've not got anyone gathering grain, and then hopefully we can maybe trade that later.
Okay.
If I stockpile up the herbs and vegetables, and then you can have something to actually make meals with.
Yeah.
Research-wise,
nice.
Let's have a look.
I'm trying to balance out my gathering a little bit because, unfortunately, grain, is not an easy thing to gather. Vegetables would have been ideal. I don't have inventory to really make anything at the moment. I've actually got a reasonably difficult start. It's going to be an interesting beginning.
Because you're the one that's good at the game, so...
Oh, I wouldn't go that far. I wouldn't go that far. Thank you for your vote of confidence, but
yes,
I believe you are mistaken.
I'm going to go, I think, maybe with vines. They're quite good for making armor and
yes,
things, aren't
actually,
they?
vines are not bad at all. They're also pretty good for bows as well. So I'm going to be really boring, and the first couple of turns are just going to be gathering for me and a little bit of crafting as well. Don't quite have enough.
I'm just going to gather for the first turn or two and not bother crafting, and I'm going to make a little expedition party to start with.
Okay. Right, I'm going to go ahead and end my turn. Now, this is the thing with ending turns. One of the little issues with this is when I end my turn, the only thing I can do in the game is toggle resources on and off. That's the only thing that does anything at all. Everything else is completely locked out. I can't even look at the quest log. I can't look at research. For all intents and purposes, my game has frozen from this point on. Now, the nice thing is it does let me know what's happening. I do see things moving around still and changes to the game world. But for all intents and purposes, I can do nothing. Which is one of the key reasons why we had a little bit of trouble with trying to do a recording of this in a traditional kind of YouTube way.
Completely. I'm just trying to clear the fog of war off a bit between our two towns with the expedition there. So hopefully you can see... I don't know how does that affect the fog of war for you?
Yeah, it's gone for me as well.
Fantastic.
I can see some exotic fruit there, which will be good because I can make, with fruit, I can make different types of breads, I think.
Right, well, that's the end of my turn.
Okay.
You've got some enemies coming your way.
Yeah. I've just made a new piece of equipment. I'm not sure who's going to get this, though. It's probably going to be quite light, so... You've got 10 armor, you've got 7. 9, 7. I'm going to give it to you. There you go. Airedale can have the leather shirt that I've just produced. Now, crafting is one of the main ways to get additional resources, research that is. I'm going to make another leather shirt using some of my leather as a catalyst. It's basically fuel for all intents and purposes. It's not going to give me very much research, but it's going to give someone an extra 2 points of armor, so I may as well.
Yeah, it's definitely worth doing. I mean, I think with me, I'm just gathering because I've left by making an expedition party, I've left my village without like any wood, so I'm just leaving everyone on gathering until they've built up a little bit of supplies. And then I'll start to move someone onto crafting in a turn or two.
Mm-hmm. On the plus side, and this is one of the reasons why we considered doing this on stream rather than in a YouTube environment, is while I've got nothing to do, I can look over at chat and actually read through chat. So the stream is probably going to be a little bit more engaged with the chat than usual, even though I always try to engage with chat. But I'll have a little bit more downtime in which I can read things, because I read really slowly when it's English, unfortunately. When the rest of you scrubs going to learn to speak Welsh, I just don't know.
Welsh is hard. It's got all these weird letters that I can't pronounce.
Hush your mouth. How dare you?
Okay. I'm going to end the turn there because I just want to leave my people on gathering until they're ready.
Now, there's some really nice additions to this. Outside of the multiplayer aspect of the DLC, just tweaks to the base game. There's a lot of new graphics. They look amazing. But also, we now get a resource income report to tell us how much stuff we gathered on that last turn, not just what we crafted. And I think that is amazing. There you go. Anbal gets that.
Right. Just checking the expedition's food.
Now, I should, at this point, be able to start making some baked meals.
I'm going to go and deal with your monsters outside your base.
Oh no, my EXPs! They're being robbed!
Would you like me to leave your EXPs?
You're calling my bluff now. I'm on to you. No.
don't mind.
By all means. No, I'm teasing. By all means.
I would hate to be accused of kill stealing in Thea.
In Thea, yeah. The whole world is against us. You've stolen my kill, you swine. Right, I'm going to turn off my dark wood consumption. I don't want to be using that up. Thank you very much. Right, now, the other player is resolving an event. Basically, Shelab has gone into a fight. Now, we can't see what's going on. Also, Aavak is out of fuel. They're very unhappy. There's going to be riots in the street. Thankfully, there's not going to be any firebombs because we've run out of fuel.
But Tumnix has run out of fuel as well, so because I put it all onto the expedition party, so they better hurry up and chop some
There we
more
go.
trees down,
Interestingly, if you right, you can't click on it right now. But although the title of your town has not synchronized and updated from renaming it, if I click on your town, it actually gives me the correct name of the Tumnix.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Right, so I approach my enemy and I've got time to decide my plan of action, but it has only actually given me one plan of action, which is saying that planning is for weaklings and I need to attack. So there we go. We're going to do that.
Basically, that's the Thea's equivalent of nerds, and then just Leroy Jenkins straight into the fight.
Pretty much.
Hi, Ockham.
So, I'm going to put Elfwine in first. And then let the enemy take their turn. They've given me a witch to fight.
Okay. In answer to Finoa, who was asking, how does combat work? Can we collaborate in the same fight? Unfortunately, no. I can't even watch the fight. And that's one of the things that I've fed back to the devs, saying that, outside of any kind of level of interaction, it would be great if you could simply observe. Like, if down here, this didn't just show me that my co-op partner was in a fight, but rather I could click on it and see what they're seeing. Just as purely as an observer, it would massively improve the experience. One thing I will say, Fino says in chat that I'm really glad they've implemented multiplayer, as I never thought it would be possible. It just seems that they've implemented it poorly. I would step in and say, whilst it's certainly not optimal, there are issues with engagement and that sort of thing. That in terms of the netcode, it's incredibly stable. There's been no problem at all with any kind of drops or desyncs, that sort of thing. Well, the renaming notwithstanding. But whilst, yes, there's certainly room for improvement, this is, from what I can tell, really a first iteration. And it's free DLC as well. So there's a lot to be said for that. They've not added any extra charge to have the multiplayer. And I fully expect that they will continue to iterate on this, as they have on the base game, throughout its existence. They've been really, really active in tweaking and improving the base game. They're always adding assets. They're improving the UI. I strongly suspect that adding an observation feature will probably be coming sooner rather than later. Or maybe that's just me hoping for it. But I would be surprised if that wasn't something that they consider strongly.
Okay, I just camped my guys so that I took a couple of wounds. I took 2 wounds. So they're all camped so that the wounds can be healed up before they move on again.
Excellent. Right, I have gathered some more grain. Fantastico. And people have no fuel. So they're not happy. But at least they're not starving, which,
Yeah, I just swapped my best gatherer onto wood gathering so that they would be a bit less unhappy with the whole fuel situation. There is. Well, we've got 7 wood in the town, so it's not too bad. Would you like my expedition to come and trade you some wood in a second? Just a little bit to keep you going.
I should be okay. I should be able to get a load of wood in one turn, and I've kind of swapped things around. Now, the thing with fuel is that if you run out of food, your people start to starve and will die. If you run out of fuel, nothing bad happens. They won't heal, but if they're not hurt, that doesn't hurt them. However, they will gather and craft at half speed, and that does hurt. So bear that in mind with anything like that. But I'm actually going to make my own...
Right, everyone's healed now. That's good.
Yeah, I'm going to pass one more turn I'm sorry, my turns are really boring this early on. But I'm going to pass one more turn in order to build up a little bit of fuel. Then I'm going to be able to send an expedition out with enough fuel to start with.
Yeah. I mean, I just gave my expedition all my starting wood, so that's what they've got at the moment. They've only camped once. Is it only when they camp that they use the wood up, or is it as they move?
Every turn.
Every turn.
Whether they're in a camp or not.
So they've got another 4 turns worth of wood before they need to gather some more.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I don't believe that you have any option to camp in your allies' village. No, Cal. You can trade, but you can't enter the village proper and help defend it or anything like that. Though, that being said, if your group is standing on the village tile and something attacks the village, I believe they have to resolve the combat with whatever group is active on the map before they can attack the village itself. So you can effectively body block an attack with your expedition from your attacking your allies.
I did and just clear things as they're approaching the other village and stop them from coming in.
Absolutely, yeah. Have you found
looking
mushrooms?
dapper.
Okay. Thank you very much for the subscription, Fitz Omega. Let's get some love in chat from Fitz there.
I think I'll just still keep them on gathering for a little bit longer. So yeah, I'll end the turn there.
Okay. Yay, we've got some bread, we've got some wood, everything is going good in
Cooked
town
food
of
for you,
Aavak.
that's advanced.
You mock me. You
I
mock
have
my
not.
pain. Right, I need to make a new expedition at last. And I am going to send out one of my crafters. I am going to send Anbal, as she has better armor and damage than Garoon. In terms of gatherers, I will send one person. I'm going to send Buttercup, Fitzomega, Moogly Moo, whose name I adore. That being said...
Look at my inventory.
Yeah, I'll send Airedale as well. I'm a little bit concerned about leaving... No, I'm going to leave Fitzomega back at Aavakis as well. So I'll have 2 warriors, a gatherer and a crafter at Aavakis, and 2 warriors, a gatherer and a crafter in the Scouts expedition. Actually, I'm going to give this a name from chat as well. Oh, I wanted to name it Clock Eyes Marauders, but I can't. That's terrible.
Not enough characters.
No, it's 15 characters. I should have read that first. Ooh.
Boo.
The dudes. That's where I'll go with. Even though I'm fairly certain the majority... In fact, none of the dudes are dudes. We're going with
dudes are dudes.
Yeah, we're gonna go with irony.
I see.
Accidentally irony. It's the best form of irony, I think. We will take all of the bread. That'll give me 2 turns worth of food. No, okay. We'll take some meat as well.
More vegetables.
Donk.
I have a lot of meat in my city. Is that starting?
Yeah,
meat?
that's starting
I
resources.
Don't have it. Yeah.
Right,
Cool.
there we go. Now, the first thing I like to do with any group is to make sure that they don't use any new types of fuel. They're only free to use the fuel that I sent them out with, and that is like basic wood.
I'm off fighting again, by the way.
Oh, best of luck.
I am fighting some, I think it's skeletons. There's some bats to the side as well. Just some of the roaming groups. I'm not actually hitting any of the nests because I believe that can cause higher level nests to spawn, and I don't really want that.
Yeah, the way that the nests work, effectively any ruin, which is these like treasure chests or nest, when you defeat one, another one will spawn somewhere else in the world on the next turn, I believe. I don't think that's the case with mobs. Like, if you kill a mob, like a roaming group, another one will spawn from one of the nests in the world. I'm not sure if that's the case. I think the nests have like a timer, and that timer gets shorter the longer the game has gone on, so the world gets progressively more difficult, I believe. But insofar as the nests automatically triggering a new nest once it's gone, that is more or less agreed to be the case, at least as far as the forums and that sort of thing. The way that the nests build up, though, is that if you've got a nest with one skull, it'll produce one skull wandering groups.
Yeah.
Which
is what I'm fighting right now.
Yeah. As the game goes through, though, and progresses, the difficulty of the world increases, so that any new nest will be 2 skull nests, and eventually 3 skull nests. If you kill a 1 skull nest at that point, the new nest it spawns may be a harder nest, which will produce harder groups. So you can inadvertently make your job a little bit harder over time. How's your fight going, though?
Okay, I've confused everything so that it's all missing turns to start with.
Okay.
Taking a bit of damage there. Just got through Marrow's shield. So he's just down to his health now.
Okay.
But we've got everything except for... Oh, and we've got through it without him... Yeah, he's getting another turn now, so he'll regenerate his shield. Because what happens is you get 2 passes of attacking the enemies, and then you get to sort of get a chance at reshuffling the deck and going through it again. So, and every time that happens, you regenerate your shield. So I was really lucky there. Marrow literally had nothing left on his shield at the end of that second pass. So, phew. He'll be okay, he won't get any wounds unless he gets some now, but he shouldn't do.
Well done. I'm going to jump into an encounter. Stumble across some ruins of an old city engulfed in mist and mystery, of which there are many in Thea, it seems. Search. You search the ruins and find an interesting building to explore, but it seems half submerged in water. As you enter, a creature comes out from the waters to attack you. So I'm in a fight as well with a pick and 3 warped snakes. Wish me luck.
Ooh, good luck with those.
I've got some decent cards, so I may be okay. Though that being said... There we are. Oh, actually not bad at all. In many ways, this is an ideal engagement for me.
Fab. I just won my fight. I got a shield out of it.
Oh, drat. Drat. The enemy just got moved forward. I'm going to confuse the enemy for the first round, I think.
Yeah, it's really helpful, that.
Yeah. Otherwise, it's going to cause me some issues. And I'm going to have Buttercup join from the tactical deck. Oh, fantastic movement. Done very well for ourselves there. Very surprised.
Fantastic, well done.
1 wound we suffered. Airedale got 1 wound.
Oh, that's really not bad. That's just a turn of camping, isn't it?
Yeah, I was expecting that to be a lot worse, but I also managed to get a sword, 16 quartz and 5 gold, which is, not too bad.
That's nice. Yeah, I just got a shield from the my fight. That wasn't too great.
Right, let me have a quick look. Does anyone want this sword? No, it's pretty standard sword, all things told. Very standard sword. Oh well.
Shield with 2 armor on it, which is no better than anything else I've already got.
I am thinking I would very much like to harvest some food and some more wood, because I've not got enough wood in this group. So I'm going to camp. I'm going to gather a little bit. I'll gather some wood first, and I'll also start gathering some nuts, since they're going to be easier to gather. There we go.
I think you mentioned before that I could break down useless equipment.
Yes. You do it from the equipment screen of your group.
Yep.
Sorry, no, your inventory screen.
Oh, the inventory screen, right. Okay.
And on the left, you'll see drop here to destroy and drop here to dismantle.
Ah, so drop it in there to dismantle, and I will get the components back.
Yep.
Very nice. That gives them extra wood. Keeps them going for a few more turns without having to camp.
Okay.
Okay, I'm ready to end my turn.
Fitzomega, I'm not actually sure how the group...
A gleaming endowment.
Thank you very much for the donation there, my lord. Thank you very, very much. MD72A just donated £50. Yay for multiplayer with Shelab.
Yay for everybody donating to Aavak.
I see how this is going to be. It's like, Shelab, where's my half? Where's my cut?
What, you're not giving me a cut?
Well, my gratitude.
You don't have to give me a cut, it's okay.
Oh, now I have to. Now you put it like that. I'm onto you. Bloody guilt. But, right, so the way that the group limit works is previously I could have taken, if I had 20 cards in my group, all 20 of them would be in play. So I'd have 10 in my combat deck, 10 in my tactical deck. However, that does lead to a point where, where's the limit? You end up going with 40 cards. Not only is it just silly, because you're going to be able to steamroll over any challenge, but also it's going to be incredibly hard to play the card you want to play, because you won't be able to see them all. So the limit we've got is 16, so it means you'll have 8 on each deck at most. And if you've got more people in your group than 16, anyone who isn't randomly chosen to join in the combat will be put in the discard pile. Now, the question that was asked is that per combat round or for the entire engagement? Effectively, 16 people will be picked for the entire engagement and everyone else will sit the entire thing out. Or, like, some people get wounded in the first round, would you be able to basically restock them, basically have subs take their place? I'm not sure, but it'll be really interesting to find out on that.
Okay, time for me to go and get these, what are they? Crazed Bees. Have you ever fought Crazed Bees before?
Bees are generally quite nasty because they usually have piercing damage, like all of them. So I try to avoid bees early on, unless I've got like blunt weapons.
Okay, I maybe ignore them for a while then. We'll go and explore a bit more.
Okay,
See what's about.
Bringing in a decent amount of fuel now. I think I'll leave that going though for the time being. Production has stopped. You can work on that. There we go. Perfect. We'll get some food being made as well. Righty ho.
Okay, so if I'm not going to have the attack the Crazed Bees, then that's the end of my turn for now.
Okay. I'm going to march on down and attack, explore this ruin down here. Stumble across some ruins. Of an old city engulfed in mist and mystery. Search. And there was no one to attack. The search buildings and discover a supply store still intact. 8 exotic fruit, 2 vines, and 7 iron. That's not bad.
Super lucky.
I know, didn't even have to fight.
Didn't even have to do a fight.
Now, if I move up there, it's going to take me 2 turns to move there because all of this is rough terrain. Marshes, forest, and hill, which means...
That's horrible, isn't it?
Yeah, it means I'm not really going to be able to do anything with my bloody turn. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up camp there and immediately harvest some more wood, since at least that's going to be helpful to me.
Yeah.
There we go. In answer to Raysoft, who says, "You sure have been playing this a lot, Lady Aavak. Are you enjoying it that much?" Yes, actually, I am. I love this game. This is firmly up there with like, let's think of it. Civilization 5 is an obvious comparison from the way you move around, but I would say I have much more fun with this than a game like Civilization 5. Although Civilization 5 is a larger kind of scale, and perhaps because of that, I prefer this because I care about my units more. I level my units up.
Much more personal, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I really like the mixture of RPG elements.
That's one of the things I like about RimWorld is like you have your individual people rather than just I don't care about you. You can just be thrown away. Exactly.
That would take me 2. That would take me 3. I'm going to wander around near to the Tumnix and see if maybe I can discover any more ruins. But for this turn, I am going to gather. In fact, I'm probably going to end up gathering for 2 turns here, just so I get a bunch of exotic fruit. And
There's
on
something that looks
note-
like ruins poking out just to the right of you, sort of thing.
Yeah. On that note, I'm actually going to restrict the consumption of my exotic fruit because I want to take that back to Aavak.
I think I have everyone doing what I want them to do. My expedition can actually move a little bit further.
I'm afraid I don't know what you mean, Cal. Cal is asking if I'm going to death parade past Shelab ever. I have no idea what you mean by that question, I'm afraid.
Does that mean that the enemies are meant to attack me? Because they will attack me. I'm pretty sure.
I have no clue what they're trying to ask. I need to pass another turn.
Barked Out Circuit says, wait, you're not supposed to sacrifice colonists in Ringworld. Oops.
Oh dear.
No, they're your personal little people that you've got to look after. Gee.
I mean, it depends. If the colony's name is New Camaraderie, then it is a valid option.
Was that your
Cyborg
Cannibal
Cannibal Connolly, yeah. Yeah, it was.
Oops.